Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hash Rate. My name is Mark Jeffrey. My guest today is Lynn Zemming of DotSwap.
Hi, Mike. Nice to have you here.
Yes, thank you for coming, and thank you for bearing with our technical difficulties. So you have built something which I thought was impossible 4 weeks ago. So you've created DotSwap, which is an AMM style AMM style swap on native Bitcoin. So there's no layer 2. It's all directly on the Bitcoin chain for runes and BRC20s. And for those who haven't tried it, the experience it's very much like Sushi Swap, Uniswap, or Pancake Swap. You know, any of those things. If you've used them before, this feels exactly, and I mean exactly, the same. So, Lynn, how did you build this? Because I did not think this was possible. How does it work?
We built that using PSBT, so the user can trustlessly using PSBTs to see what they can get from us. Yeah. And to overcome some difficulties about like lack of smart contract on BTC, we use a centralized way that we as a server, we respond to the request of our user for specific amount of token they want to trade. Then we build the PSBT for them. So, we get several steps of the back and forth to exchange information, then we put the PSBTs for the user, then they can sign. Yeah.
Now, when you say PSBT, you mean partially signed Bitcoin transactions. And so there's a lot of people who watch this show who come from the Ethereum universe. So PSBT, they're like, what's that? I don't know what that guy's talking about. So in the Bitcoin universe, you can create transactions where you sign half of it, and then and that is how some of the older exchanges that dealt with runes and BRC20s like Unisat, you would be able to list your partially signed Bitcoin transaction. That was effectively a listing on a DEX where the Bitcoin chain itself was the market, was the exchange. And so somebody else has to come along and complete the transaction by signing the other half. And so if I put up like I'm selling, 5,000 ordi for, I don't know, 100K, then somebody else would have to come along with 100K with a Bitcoin and complete the transaction, and that would create this that would make the swap happen. And that was kind of that was a great sort of hack to make tokens and make exchanges work for the very first time directly on the God chain on Bitcoin. But it was also very limiting in that we had to deal in parcels. So what if I didn't want 5,000, ordi? What if I wanted 100, right? And nobody had listed 100. I would just have to, there was nothing for me to buy. So by creating an AMM, anybody can come along to DotSwap and trade in any amount on DotSwap because there's liquidity pools just like Unisat. So if I want 100 ordi, I can just order it and everything's good. So Lynn, you mentioned earlier that you do some things in a centralized fashion. For example, the liquidity pools are centralized. On something like Uniswap, if I want to supply 2 coins in a 50-50 split for a liquidity pool, that's locked in a smart contract. And I know that like Uniswap can't touch those coins, even if they wanted to, because a smart contract prevents them. Only I can get my liquidity coins in and out. On your system, if I supply liquidity, which I have provided, by the way, I'm in the NUSD Bitcoin pool, that goes into a centralized wallet that I assume have a multi-sig to. So if you wanted to run away with my liquidity, I mean, if you were so inclined, I'm hoping that you're not, but I don't think you are. But if you were so inclined, you could do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. And so, good. Thank you for the honesty. And that was basically my assumption. Are you going to try to fix that down the road? Is there a way to fix that, or does it always have to be centralized?
Yes, we can find a way to fix that. But the limitation is because that in Bitcoin we do not have such smart contract, right? We cannot have states that in the transactions, right? So we need to find a way to enhance Bitcoin with other abilities. But those abilities will not be some layer 2 innovation. I admire all those L2 innovations, right? But to enhance the security from L1 is most important part. So I'm very looking forward for the upgrade of opcode. When we have opcode like Opcat, then we can maybe create something that can actually do the all this decentralized way, right? In a like trustless way to make bridges or something else, right? So I think currently that is how far we can go, but it paves the way that we can go further if we have better support from the Bitcoin mainnet.
Yeah, that's probably going to take a while, though. I mean, from what I gather, watching from the outside, any sort of new proposal to modify the Bitcoin core code, that's like, it's like a year best case out, right? I don't think. I mean, do you agree with that? Do you know how fast? I mean, it feels like that's going to be like the soonest we'd see that is in a year. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I think yeah. So we build things like in a semi-centralized way. That is
Yep.
not like NUSD that someone hold control of the private key, right? So we use the multi-layer structure of the MPC. So there is no actual private keys existed in the cold wallet. So we divided that into multi-sig. Then the
Yep.
multi-sig keys are protected by MPCs. Then through this way, our employees, our team cannot solely to store the funds, right? And
Right.
prevents the hacking activities. The hacker cannot get the private key because those private key does not exist.
Got it.
That's the way
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So it doesn't protect against your entire company. Your entire company would have to collude in order to grab the funds. So,
yes,
but
yeah.
one person acting alone could not do it. So that's not bad. That's probably about as good as anything gets. So I think for now, I think for early days, actually, this is just fine. And I guess I just have to reiterate like how magical it was to use your product as someone who's sort of been around for a while. Like I just didn't think it was going to feel. I thought it was going to be kind of janky, right? Like I'd get in there and I'd start using it, and there'd be pain, and it like I don't know. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I did not expect something which felt exactly like Uniswap. And if you're using a Chrome
Better.
plugin, sorry,
Yeah, and I think the experience on Bitcoin should be better because previously are people are relying the blockchain confirmations, right? Like in Ethereum, all the sequences of all these transactions is very important. But that way, that limit the scalability of EVM based blockchain. But on Bitcoin, we use the UTXO structure, so those transactions can go in and out in parallel. Through this way, we can create a much better experience that does not rely on the blocks, on the confirmations. So I think we can create better things if we remove a lot of limitations like standard transaction limit, some policies, right? And that can be much better.
so why did you choose to do this particular project? Why an AMM? Were you just fascinated by the idea of Bitcoin Fi like I am? What made you decide to do it, and why did you do it now?
Yeah, I'm not quite a DeFi guy, but I think it is possible that we can create similar experience on Bitcoin. And I believe that the fundamental swap and liquidity solution DEX, all these components together can create better reaction on Bitcoin. So I think it is a market opportunity here that we can use our knowledge previously knowledge about UTXO structure So we built this product. Previously, nobody was seeing that we can have such experience on the BTC network, right? But
I didn't think it was possible. So congratulations on that. Is anybody else doing this, or you guys? As far as I know, you're the only ones who have something up and running and working. I've heard rumblings of other things, but I haven't tracked them down. Were you the first to do this?
We are the first, and there are other friendly companies that can adapting the same way to provide liquidity solution for users. That is good because it is an ecosystem, not a DotSwap system, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree, and it is kind of weird how just in the last 6 weeks we've seen this sort of eruption of different protocols on Bitcoin. We had NUSD, so we had now we have a stable coin. We now have you guys, so we have the swap, and then there was another one, Liquidium. I'm not sure.
Liquidium, loans.
Liquidium, yes, who are doing loans, and that actually works too. So you can take your NUSD and stake it and borrow Bitcoin against it, and it works like Aave, and there's no difference. It feels the same again. And then just this morning, I was reading that there's a new prediction market called Byzantine General. It's not up and running yet, but if you've seen all the rage now is Poly Market, right? Because everybody's watching the whole Trump-Biden thing, right? And everybody's betting on it. Will Biden drop out? Will Kamala take over? Whatever. And it's absolutely there's been about $230 million worth of bets placed on the presidential election, and you do it through USD. So you basically have, or USDC. So you basically place the bets with USDC in this Ethereum-based system. So Byzantine General is the same thing on the Bitcoin blockchain directly, and you bet using NUSD. So as these things sort of, come together at the same time, it's almost like, there's like a scene. It's like a happening. And this is what we saw with DeFi Summer on Ethereum. And it looks like we're seeing the same thing happening right now. Why is it? Do you agree, A? And B, why is it happening right now? Why is everything just sort of coming together at the same time?
So I will take the first question is that I think, yes, it is. Now is the moment that more developers will come in and they see the capacity and ability how we can create great things based on Bitcoin technology, right? And then the ordinals technology, right? The ordinals protocols open up others' mind to find, so the Bitcoin is not just digital code, and we can use the script. We can use the other things to make Bitcoin greater. So, and they see that the market has demands to build things on Bitcoin protocol. I would say that there is a lot of parasite L2s trying to get the liquidity from Bitcoin itself, right? They create a lot of L2s. Okay, stake your Bitcoin there, and doing things on Ethereum, on EVM. But that way, it is like, if your protocol, if your application is so good, why you use Bitcoin? Why not just build things for Ethereum guys and get rich, right? That is because they just want the liquidity from BTC. It is not improvement of our own ecosystem. So we are sticking with Bitcoin L1 to find some way that we can help each other to build a vivid ecosystem on BTC L1.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There are a lot of people that are calling themselves Bitcoin Layer 2 that really it's just an Ethereum fork and with a new Bitcoinish paint job on it, but it's not really anything materially different. Although I would say that last time I looked in on Wrap Bitcoin, about 1% of all Bitcoin was expressed through Ethereum or EVM chains as wrapped Bitcoin. So that that basically does say that there is a desire from the Bitcoin universe to go into DeFi at some level, and it's given that Bitcoin is a it depends on when you look, but 1.3 to 1.4 trillion dollar asset, it's about 4 times as large as the amount of Ethereum in the world, right? So that's the mother lode, that's the God chain, but also the God liquidity. So if you can somehow tap into that, Bitcoin people have not been able to participate in DeFi really kind of at all, except through centralized offerings that burn them, like Celsius and things like that. So I have to say it was pretty magical when I used DotSwap. Just using a Bitcoin wallet, I didn't use anything else. There was no centralized exchange. There was no wrap tokens. There was no bridge. I just used my Unisat Bitcoin wallet, which was like a Chrome plugin. It's pretty much like MetaMask, but for Bitcoin. It feels exactly the same. And I connected to DotSwap, and I traded some Bitcoin for NUSD in one transaction. And all of a sudden, I had actual dollars in my Bitcoin wallet. That was like kind of a magical moment, right? And it was on the Bitcoin chain. I never left the Bitcoin chain. And I think just if enough people have this oh my God moment, I think this could actually just explode exponentially very fast once sort of people catch on to the importance of what they're seeing. And I know that UTXO management, do you know who those guys are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that is their investment thesis is this ecosystem. And I know they put $1 million into NUSD. Have you talked to them? Are they interested in you? I imagine they would love you.
Yeah. I've been talking to Henry about their investment in NUSD, and their liquidity might come to DotSwap. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. So they may be providing LP for the pools?
Yeah. Might be. It's up to them.
It's up to them. Okay, awesome, well, dude. That would be amazing. So, I think that'd be a fantastic move for them. So we talked a little bit about the lack of smart contracts on Bitcoin, and how Opcat, which is basically a proposal which may or may not happen, we don't know, to improve the Bitcoin chain by adding one instruction, which should basically kind of open up smart contracts. Or at least more of the smart contract universe to Bitcoin. But we don't know if that'll happen. And Bitcoin people are notoriously very difficult to make decisions fast, right? Or even about big things, right? Which, I understand their caution. They don't want to screw up something really good by making a mistake, right? So it's wise slowness. I don't think it's anything bad. But there are other sort of ideas that have been popping up to basically provide smart contract functionality on Bitcoin. I've been hearing a lot lately about something called RSM State Machine. I've been hearing a lot about something called Bitcoin VM or BitVM. What do you think of sort of the other proposals other than Opcat? Is there anything in that universe that you think is interesting, or is that all just bullshit?
Yeah, I would not calling others bullshit. Yeah. So, yeah, but different people have a whole different opinion about how we can put other mechanism onto Bitcoin, right? And under different under different scenario, different solution may work, right? Like in rooms, and we can put a lot of new mechanism, new consensus on top of the indexers, right? But how we can build the consensus system, that is the most important part, right? It is not using the Bitcoin blockchain as the main consensus system, because it will be much slow that if we adopt the block confirmation as the sequencer to determine all the event sequence, the sequence of all these events, right? But if we can put all those sequences into transactions, that would be better, because the Bitcoin transaction, the UTXO structure, right? It has the infinite scalability by moving states from one transaction to the trial transaction, then moves on, and it happens instantly, right? And this kind of sequence is enforced by the L1 rule, right? So, like BRC20 to the ordinals, BRC20 adopts the block confirmation sequence that is much slower, that everyone should wait for confirmation to determine which transaction is right. Right? So it cannot be changed because that kind of philosophy is limited. But I'm looking forward to have someone to build these states based on the transaction chain, not the blockchain, but transaction chain. Transaction chain is the key. But we have another policy limitation about 25 chain unconfirmed transaction. So it is a policy employed by nodes, not the consensus. So maybe later it can be easily raised, like if we can have like 1,000 transaction chain, right? So this can provide much higher outputs for the state machine, but not currently. But it can be easier because it is not a consensus rule, it is just miners rule. So if some miner are willing to give that change, right, it is not a very hard thing because they can help some trustworthy organization or trustworthy protocols just to make some exemption, right, for them to just allow the longer chain of their protocol. So that would not hurt the whole ecosystem, right? So that is what I'm thinking about in the future. Yeah.
Okay, I followed about half of that. I got to be honest, but let me recapitulate back to you what I think I understood. So I know that in the BRC20 and the Rune universe, the way it works is, basically people are writing the transactions of Runes and BRC20s onto the Bitcoin blockchain, sort of in like this data field or comment field, if you will. And so you can think of Bitcoin as the world's most secure log file, right? For something which is not really part of it, but it doesn't matter because you can just blast the information onto the Bitcoin blockchain, and now that information is backed by Bitcoin's proof of work. And whoever says that they did a transaction first, it's on the, we get the log file, it's on the God chain, it's backed by proof of work. So we can rely on that transaction being final as much as we can rely on any Bitcoin transaction being final. So it's pretty good. But that log file needs interpretation because there's a lot of junk in it too, right? So if I say I give you 5,000 ordi, and then like a second later I say I give 5,000 ordi to Jack, right? Which one was the first transaction? Which is the real one, right? So these interpreters, these indexers have to go into this log file and kind of sort through it and be like, oh, okay, he sent this first and then that happened. So he didn't have Jack didn't get 5,000 ordi because he already gave it to Lynn, right? Previously.
Yeah,
so
but it relies on indexers, right? It is compared to centralized way like banks. You are referring some banks are doing this. Banks has internal ledger to keep their records clean, but in fact, the user cannot verify on it. So the problem is that the decentralizing in BTC relies a lot of your self-hosted nodes or self-hosted indexers. But we still can find better ways for us to improve that. For example, if there are two conflicting transactions, which comes first, right? It's easier. It is not necessary for us to run an indexer in order to find out which one is first. We can just compare Merkle proofs, right?
Yes. Yeah, but you could be lying. So if you run your own indexer and I run an indexer, and you've got an indexer which is trying to cheat people, I'll reverse that. So I'm the bad guy. I have an indexer which is trying to cheat people, which I could do, right? I don't want to make you the bad guy. So I'm the bad guy with the bad indexer, because there is no sort of decentralized indexer. And I know that the track people are trying to create one. I know there's a couple different attempts at this, but as of right now, everybody's just kind of running their own indexers. And so far, everyone has more or less been honest, but it doesn't mean they have to remain that way. So we need better infrastructure for that, probably, I would say. And the other sort of side of this problem is I was talking with someone, I can't tell you who it was, but somebody who's well placed earlier today, and I was actually discussing this explosion of OrdFi or a Bitcoin Fi and all the different components. I was telling him about you guys and NUSD and blah 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 and Byzantine General, and he was like, somebody did a calculation. We're obviously concerned that the miners, because of after the halvening, they're suffering now, so they need more fees to kind of feed them. That's better for Bitcoin. It's better for all of us if there's an explosion in the ordinals universe, which starts feeding them. But the concern is that if that eats up all the block space, basically everybody will get something like 2 transactions a year, or something like that was the calculation, kind of at scale. Like the Bitcoin chain cannot handle this stuff at scale. And my answer was, well, that's true, but we don't give a shit right now because there's still a lot of room to grow. And, if this thing explodes, we'll figure something out. There will be solutions will arise. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that point of view? And that this is
I agree with that. The BTC cannot scale, right? So we cannot build things just on those blockchain, the tiny blockchain that cannot scale up. But we might have solutions, right? We might have solutions. I cannot tell more, but we have solutions to scale Bitcoin and in a very trustless way.
Well, that's very interesting. So I know that you come out of, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure this is right. You come out of the blockchain, the Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, BSV community. You were a BSV developer originally. And I think Jack Liu from NUSD also was part of that BSV crew. Is that correct? And is that, has that experience informed what you're doing now? Because I notice there's a lot of BSV people, it seems, hanging around the Bitcoin ordinal space.
Yeah, Josh in the ordinals wallet, right? Yeah, he's the guy. And we have a lot of experience about how we can handle transactions to build PSBTs and to deal with SIG hashes and peer-to-peers. So I think we can just reuse every infrastructure that we can use to help Bitcoin to grow in certain way that might be better for everyone, right?
And so now I see that you also are the same team that built mempool.space.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit.
Sorry, mempool.com. Different
mempool.com.
Yeah, it's a mining pool previously. Yeah.
Okay. Is it still operational or no?
No, it stopped operation because the China government.
Right. China government outlawed it.
Yeah, mining.
So
activity.
you are in China, right? For those who don't know. And
yes.
So how does the Chinese government? What is this crypto scene like there right now? Does the Chinese government like crypto? Do they not like it, but they put up with it? What is the vibe over there right now?
Yeah, I cannot say too much, but I would say that Chinese government are very, very smart. So what they are trying to protect their people. They are trying to protect their people. They have good way of doing so, but just in China, in Hong Kong, right, part of China, so they can have Bitcoin. So that might be a very good experience, right, or experiment for them. Try to figure out how they can handle the risk and the benefit of adopting the crypto scene, right? So yeah, and I think no matter which government or communism or socialism or capitalism, right? All those governments and people want to fight corruption, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is the goal for us, for the people to use the ability of Bitcoin, of other crypto projects to fight corruption. It's not to embrace money laundering or other things, right? Other
Yep.
evil things. We need to use the honest ledger to keep our government, to keep our neighborhood honest. That is the best way we can improve for the whole society.
Right on, brother. We were on the same page. Just goes my theory that, and it's not just my theory, but there are good people everywhere, all over the globe. And in fact, I think most people are good. And regardless of what your philosophy of government is, we all don't like bad people, and we all like honesty, and we all are kind of moving in the same direction, more or less. So, good to hear that. I'm on the side of good as well. I'm with you on that in that fight. So, now a specific question about DotSwap. Can anyone come along and create their own pool? Like if I wanted to tomorrow create dog go to moon NUSD pair, could I do that, or is it something only you can do?
No, you can just do that. You can create a new pool, and then even you can specify the asymmetric fees structure. Like you can determine like 1% for buying and 10% for selling if you want.
Got it.
And
Okay, good to know.
Those to the LP, yeah.
Like theoretically, that'll even itself out, right? Because arbitrageurs will come in and arbitrage that out pretty quickly, I would think. But okay, that's very interesting. I actually did not know that it was permissionless pools. Very nice. And I know that you support NUSD right now. How important do you regard NUSD? And will you support other stables? And are you looking at any other stables right now?
Yeah, currently we are working with NUSD. So I'm working to other stable coins or other projects to come to us, and we will provide whatever we can to support them. Right?
Yeah, so you're just like agnostic about whatever stable coin. You don't really know who the winner is, so you're just going to support them all as they pop up if they look legit. So yeah,
but they does not have to change the protocol, right? So for us to support a new protocol is very expensive because all the maintenance for the indexers to follow all those upgrades or something like that, right? So it is much better that those protocols are just following some big standards like BRC20 or runes. I think runes is better currently.
Yeah, I think it was really interesting because I was part of that whole BRC20 explosion. I minted a bunch of Ordi, so that turned out well. I minted a bunch of other things that went nowhere, so I still got bags from that time, but we just didn't know, right? And frankly, for a while, it looked like Ordi was going nowhere. It was sort of bobbling around $2 per Ordi, and then all of a sudden Binance listed it, and it popped up to like 50, and then 80. I think is sort of the high that it's been. And I think it's like at 40 or so right now, but that was an amazing pop. And but BRC20 basically managed to produce a shit ton of meme coins, and really every coin in there is a meme coin. And Ordi was like the meme coin for the BRC20 protocol, right? So nobody produced anything useful. It was kind of fun, and it was amazing that you could have tokens on Bitcoin at all. And then the Runes protocol came out, like I guess what is it now? It came out at the halvening, so we're like 7 weeks out from it, something like that, as of this time. It feels like something about Runes is what led to this OrdFi or Bitcoin Fi explosion. Because I don't think it feels like it's all Runes based, but I can't detect anything about Runes specifically, which makes it possible, other than just sort of people feel better about Runes because it's better designed. What do you think about that? Is there something about the Runes birth that led to this explosion?
Yeah, I think Runes is pretty good because Runes protocol adopt the UTXO structure. That makes things much easier if Bitcoin is UTXO structured, right? So if we are building applications for Bitcoin, at least we need to support Bitcoin, right? So then we can have Bitcoin and Runes on the same page, right? It is much easier. But the other protocol like BRC20 like EVMs, right? They are only account based. So that would be a little different from UTXO structure. So I think it is much easier for those developers if they want to come to Bitcoin. They have to choose the Bitcoin UTXO structure as a start, right? And to learn more about it. It is not to move the Bitcoin into their environment of BVM or other VMs. So I think runes pretty enhance this ability to put the fungible token protocol on top of UTXO. And even there are someone like they are calling for like smart contract for runes, right? Or runes VM or other things. But I think there's already smart contracts for runes. That is Bitcoin script and the UTXO. You can apply your runes on any UTXO, including ordinals, to have such composability and those smart contract, based on Bitcoin. And
Yeah,
that would be possible if Opcat get activated. We can have states in
yeah,
transactions. Yeah, that is great. Yeah, a lot of
yeah.
new things, new innovations were coming.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I hope that happens, and I hope it happens faster than we think. Because I agree with you. I think enabling Opcat will enable an explosion on Bitcoin of innovation, and I think which will enable an explosion of new fees for miners, and so it will be very good monetarily for securing the ecosystem and keeping the miners making a lot of money, which we want because we want them. We want more miners. We want more hash rate all the time. That's what the show's called, hash rate. So we like hash rate. Hash rate's good. So yeah, I'm hopeful that gets enabled soon also. So one other thing I wanted to ask you about is I was in the Thorchain Telegram, and I've done several shows with the Thorchain guys. In fact, my last show was with the JP Thor, talking about not only Thorchain, but this mega dex that he's building. But when I went into the Discord, I asked a question. I was trying to see, just poking around, like, what would it take for NUSD to create like a bridge? Like, I was just imagining, I love the fact that Thorchain is a cross-chain DEX ultimately, and they're the only cross-chain DEX that handles Bitcoin natively. So therefore, they're the only cross-chain DEX that could handle runes. So if I wanted to go from NUSD and I wanted to trade that for Tether on Ethereum, there's currently no way to do that, right? So what if there was a way? And Thorchain probably is the fastest way to get something like that to happen. And I asked him, I said, so who's like the pool master? Who decides who gets these pairings? And what came back was basically, well, we've enabled this thing called SwapX, which is it's basically an API for plugging your whatever thing into our universe. So, and I mentioned you guys to them, and they said, "Oh, we just met them like a couple of weeks ago at an Asian conference." So yeah. Can you talk about that at all, and can you give us some idea of what might be coming as a result of that relationship?
Yeah, that is what we can do is to connect the runes or BTCs directly to other token on other chain based on their solution. I think that is quite possible, and even better, we can create those solutions decentralized in a very decentralized way. It is not like our single market maker to make it possible. We can maybe we can build an aggregator for the user so that every market maker and every bots can put up their asking or bidding prices, right? These orders into the aggregator for the users to trade, and all those trades will happen in a trustless way. So through this way, I think we can get sort of the solution for a decentralized exchange or decentralized AMM.
Well, I look forward to that because I definitely think the ability for people to move NUSD in and out of Bitcoin. I mean, I love the fact that you can go from Bitcoin to NUSD to Bitcoin. Hopefully, at some point, dog go to moon to NUSD, et cetera. That old path.
That will happen.
Love that. But I also want a way to sort of come into this universe, not with Bitcoin. I want to sort of take my Ethereum and go through a DEX and have it pop out the other end as NUSD. Like I personally want that experience, right? I got some ghost coins that I'm like, I'd love to just shovel it over, but it's like really hard to do. I have to go to Gemini, I have to log in, upload it. It's like 5 steps, and I really love to see that. And I know NUSD is about to release redemptions, so you can go from NUSD back to USDE, which is Athena's stablecoin on the Ethereum blockchain. And you'll be able to do that directly through their site. I think that actually, that liquidity and then other sorts of options for that liquidity to go from NUSD to Tether, I think that will do a lot for the entire ecosystem, right? Once people are like trust that they can get in and out of it, then they'll be like, oh, okay, I got like these coins over here. I can shovel them in really easily. I don't have to think about going to Binance or whatever. That's going to be, I think, extremely powerful. So I am very excited to see this Thorchain get up and running. So let's talk a little bit about the team. Actually, before I go there, is there a DotSwap token? Do you guys have a token, or are you planning one?
Yeah, we have a loyalty point called DotSwap.
Okay, so is that a rune?
Yeah, it's a rune. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. I actually didn't know that, so I will have to. I assume I'm collecting it if if I'm in the pool, which I am. So,
yeah, you can go points. Later, the points can be exchanged or be airdropped to our token. Yeah.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that. Okay, so how big is the team? Have you guys raised money, and how long have you been working on this?
Yeah, we have a dozen employees currently, so it's good, and we are self-funded. So currently, no investors, but we are looking to find more investors if they are interested, and we'll see, because it is very hard to find a very good investor that share the same vision with you, right? So that we can go much longer way, and without quarreling with each other, what the opportunity to release the token and how we can set up the tokenomics and to get more profit from the market, or so things like that.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I've done the investment route several times myself, so I feel your pain on that one. So good luck. I hope you do find someone who aligns with your vision, because I do think this is like an insane. I think this is like one of the most insanely great opportunities in crypto, and I feel like, I think I told you I participated in the Ethereum ICO years ago. I did a podcast. I had Vitalik on the show, and that's how I found out about it. And I sort of felt like I was looking at something like insanely amazing, and nobody else seemed to see it. It was really weird. It was like nobody was paying attention to it. Everybody was paying attention to Uber, and what's the next Uber of X, right? Like you just couldn't get the people I knew to sort of look over here. And I was like, yeah, but I think there's this thing. And I feel like this movement on Bitcoin is that again. It's as important. It might even be more important. And I don't know how long it's going to take to develop, but I think it'll develop faster. And so I think this is just like a monstrous, like $1 trillion kind of opportunity. That's what it looks like to me. It's developing DeFi on the God chain. I mean, that seems like that's a big one, right? So
yeah,
so
it will be
somebody's got to get it, as is sort of what I'm feeling. Okay, and then how long have you guys all been working together? The 12 of you. And did you work together before this?
Yeah, before, much longer. So we build a lot of things like on BSV blockchain, right? And previously I worked to find I set up my company back to 2016. Yeah, that we are trying to build things for BTC on Lightning Network. At that time, Lightning Network white paper just releasing, and we think that we might build a mental poker based on Bitcoin L1. But the increase in transaction fees kill that.
Yeah. Well, so I'm seeing a pattern here with both you and Jack Liu of NUSD. Your experience working with BSV and UTXOs, that was like your Jedi training for this moment. You didn't know it at the time because you thought BSV was the thing, and there seemed to be a lot of very, 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 very smart people in the BSV community. Like that, I don't think there's any question about that, and I think that all that time spent in sort of that oven is now bearing fruit over here back on Bitcoin proper. Although it must be a little bit frustrating because BSV did have bigger blocks, I think, right? Like that was like one of the
unlimited.
Yeah, so it just was a better formulated thing in a lot of ways. I have to admit, I won't get into the whole Craig Wright thing, but from a technical perspective only, I do think there absolutely was some merit to the BSV universe. It was probably technically superior, just like the Amiga was a technically superior computer to the PC, right? It just was sort of lesser known, and that's sort of how I view BSV. Is like there's some good ideas to mine from that universe. So, and some good minds coming out of that universe. So back into this one. So I think that's partly because I don't think nobody from the Ethereum universe would have thought of this, right? Or would have been able to figure out how to do it. Right. So I think that's partly what's going on here. And that's why that's why not enough people are paying attention to it, I think. So, okay. Well, we're coming up here kind of at the end of the 45 minutes. I tried to do like 45 minutes to an hour. So, is there anything you felt I should have covered that I didn't cover?
Yeah, I think you've covered almost everything. But yeah, there might be something we can talk more about it, like hash rate. So
yes,
I would like to ask all those BTC users or BTC holders or supporters, right? So how can you secure Bitcoin using hash rate? That kind of question is very important. That because it is a fundamental security model of Bitcoin, right? So what if you are a node operator and you find something that is not right on the blockchain, right? So you decide to fight it. How can you do? What kind of measures you can take to revert or to report to the police, or what kind of measures that you have, what kind of choices or options you have. If there are some security problem there, because okay, there are governments. Those governments are banning someone's Bitcoin, right? They are stopping the moving of those coins. They are freezing those coins. What can you do? Can you move that? Or what options do you have? So hash rate, I think, is not the only factor of the Bitcoin security. So that's what I'm thinking. And maybe in the end, it is not about the more transaction fees for BTC. If we can have multi-layered merge mining for those miners, right? They can use their hash rate to protect multiple or infinite overlays. All those overlays will work with Bitcoin, but they need more security. So there will be fees collected from merge mining. So it might be not necessary to bump up the fees so high to support such expensive network, right? Then the miners can always earn from the proof of work and the protection for the security of every network. That is possible. That's my.
That's a really interesting idea. So let me try to explain it back because I think I got it. So we all have problems. We all have ledgers. We all have whatever we have protecting our Bitcoin, and that's okay. But there's still hacks. There's still people who get in and bad people who get in and steal Bitcoin. What if somehow you could take Bitcoin's core security model of proof of work based on hash rate and somehow harness that to personal security of my personal wallet and then charge me a fee for keeping my stuff safe, basically is what you said. Is that correct?
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, you pay fees to secure your transaction, to secure your assets, right? But how can a miner do that? Or how can you protect your assets? It is a question. Then when the broad subsidy is decreasing, right? And we cannot afford higher and higher transaction fees to cover the loss for those miners, right? So people are arguing that, okay, the miners will step out and less, so Bitcoin network will be less secure. My opinion is that maybe there are other ways they can secure Bitcoin through some merged mining L2s, right? And they can always collect fees for providing such kind of services, to use proof of work as a signal to announce to the whole world that they will be the honest gatekeeper. So that might be an alternative way than just bumping the transaction fees. If the block space is limited and the transaction fees cannot be so high, that prevent everyone to use it on the mainnet, right? So there might be other ways that the transaction fees of Bitcoin will be lower, but they can earn more by providing security mechanism for Bitcoin projects, for Bitcoin L2s, using merge mining or other mechanism.
Yeah, it's clever. I like it. I like where your head's going on this. So I look forward to whatever you guys produce on that, because that does sound interesting. And I agree with you. There's definitely a need for better personal wallet solutions for sure. So, all right, Lynn, where can people find you on Twitter, and what are your websites? Whatever you want to plug, go ahead.
Yeah. So DotSwap is .dotswap, .swap.app. And my Twitter handle is Lin Zheming, LINZHEMING. Yeah, follow me.
Yeah, and I'll put links obviously in the show notes and everything. But okay, well, Lynn, I'm a huge fan of what you have done. I'm kind of blown away by it, I got to admit, and I encourage everybody to go check this out. And you got to go get yourself a Taproot enabled Bitcoin wallet. So that not every Bitcoin wallet will work, but you go to Unisat. I use the Unisat Chrome plugin. Go get that, load it up a little Bitcoin. Go over to Lynn's house on DotSwap and use it and feel the magic. You should at least experience it, because it is pretty magical. So that's about all the time we have. Lynn, thank you once again. My name is Mark Jeffrey. This has been Hash Rate. We'll see you all next time.